Hello, boils and ghouls. My name is Ashley, and this week I watched Only Murders in the Building episodes 7 and 8. With a title like Valley of the Dolls for episode 7, I really expected them to go back to LA, not visit Charles's little sister on Long Island. There was one thing I never liked about this show, and I thought they got it out of their system in season 1, and that is the Long Island slander. I am originally from Long Island, and I take it as a personal offense. Although I will say the one thing that they got accurate is in fact the driveway boat, because I've seen a number of houses that have a boat in their driveway. Now, these two episodes are all about explanation and wrapping up some stories. You get a little bit more with the Westies and the whole Dudenhoff situation. Apparently, he wasn't long for this world and went out in his own way and asked them to do something that really you probably shouldn't ask anyone to do. I wouldn't want to do it, but I understand where he was coming from and where they were coming from with the rent-controlled apartments, and they became like a family, and he didn't want any of them to suffer because he wouldn't be around anymore. So he encouraged them to commit check fraud and social security fraud, and okay, they've just been like living in those apartments and pretending to still be subletting from him. We have another name to add to the very long list of quality guest stars on this show, with Charles's little sister Doreen, who is a little much. I don't really know how else to explain her. She's a lot. The Valley of the Dolls reference is meant for her house, because the woman has so many dolls. Like, so many dolls. It's, like, creepy. For some people, one doll is too creepy. This woman has an amount of dolls that would make a doll collector think there's something wrong with her. But, you know, she's a little obsessed with Oliver. She and Charles have a whole conversation about their childhood, and he feels guilt because he caused her to need her spleen removed, and she thinks that he hates her, but, like, it's all just huge misunderstanding. So it's nice to see a little bit of, like, Charles's history. Like, we got some of Charles's history with the stepdaughter. Have we gotten a lot of Mabel? Not really. We got a little bit of, like, Mabel, but not a whole lot. So maybe we'll get some of her soon, maybe next season, since it's closing in on the end of this one. You know, and we had quite a bit with Oliver and his son and that whole situation. Howard, once again playing an integral role in this investigation, is the one who found out that the Westies were the ones cashing the checks at this convenience store, this bodega, right? He's also shown me that he cannot be trusted with sensitive information, and why Mabel told him in the first place, I don't even know. But after the photo shoot incident, they decided, okay, we'll go to Charles's sister's house on Long Island. Mabel thinks it's a good idea to let Howard know where they are in case anything happens to them. I mean, I understand her logic, but maybe don't tell anyone where you're going, because, you know, now that's a weak spot. And Howard proved, like I said, he can't be trusted with sensitive information. He immediately gave up their location to everyone. The actors, Bev Mellon, like, they might as well film the movie at Doreen's house because everybody knew where they were. I get the actors saying, oh yeah, we should be with you, we should, you know what you're doing, what's going on. So they just went through a traumatic experience, and maybe you shouldn't be around them. For your own safety, really. But okay, I can logic that one out. Bev Mellon, however, completely unnecessary. She showed up, had a full-on breakdown, really, drunken breakdown. And then the next day had, you know, a moment of clarity, and now is back on board with making this movie. Like, she full-on didn't want to make this movie. Hated Hollywood, hated everything. She's telling off the actors. And the next morning after she slept it off, now she's totally fine. She's talked to, you know, the producers and everybody else working on the movie, the studio, everything is good to go, and she loves Hollywood again, whatever. Completely unnecessary. I don't think that was necessary, unless it comes back to Bev Mellon really had something to do with it and was just trying to keep tabs on where they are, which is possible. And the actors, once again proving themselves useful, convinced Mabel that actors are more than just actors, they're also investigators, because that's how they learn to play their roles properly. And in doing so, they have mentioned the numerous plot holes in every season of their podcast, which was also something that Saz was looking into, including one I'd completely forgotten about, which is Oliver's dog, Winnie. Honestly, I figured because it was a dog, it would go the way of every other TV dog, and you just wouldn't see it again. It wouldn't be mentioned. Like, yeah, the dog met an unfortunate end, and that's why you don't see it again. But that tends to happen with TV show dogs. They're there one episode, and they're not the next. You don't really think about it. They're making a point to show you that there's a plot hole around this dog. So if this season ties into every other season, I'm going to love that. That's going to be my favorite part of this whole show, because I love things like that. I love when everything is like cohesive and there's callbacks and, you know, plot holes get explained and you realize they were intentional the whole time. Like how I keep mentioning the tunnels and how nobody else is talking about the tunnels, yet it's been mentioned in previous seasons and at least twice in this season, but nobody's focusing on it. So that's probably going to come up, hopefully. Jan, is that her name? Charles's broke out of prison ex-girlfriend, Jan. Like, you know she didn't break out of prison for nothing. Where is she? Where'd she go? We have 2 episodes left and there's still a lot going on. I haven't really been paying attention to the side stories of this season because they're just kind of there. Like Oliver and Loretta's relationship. I love it. I think it's precious. But it wasn't really the storyline I was most invested in. But, you know, now there's a little bit more. They're getting married now. And I love that for them. I mean, they kind of went through it to get there. Oliver leaves her this whole text message and flies from LA to Long Island, getting Oliver's location from Howard. Which, by the way, how exactly does Howard know the address of Charles's little sister? I don't know. It seems very easy that these people found her house. But Loretta shows up. They talk through their misunderstanding, and now they're getting married. And Zach freaking Galifianakis wants to plan the wedding because apparently he's big into weddings. It's a whole thing. He gets like remarried to his wife quarterly, according to the show, and it's crazy. He tries booking a real nice wedding for Oliver that he's offering to pay for, and Oliver says, no, we're going to get married at the Arconia. That's where the relationship began. That's where I want this to happen. And I don't know about you, but that might not be the best idea. That place has not been safe in years, and people are actively targeting Oliver. Maybe he shouldn't be in the building where murders happen frequently. You know, getting married with guests. But it doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Now, I mentioned the Westies being involved in the Dudenhoff situation and how basically they were honoring his wishes. Apparently he finds out he's sick, he's not long for this world, and in episode 8 we get a lot of that. At the end of 7 we learn it's them cashing the checks, which I don't understand like how they were like actually able to do that without like some form of ID or something. Even at like a check cashing place they require ID and stuff like that. But maybe I'm looking into it too much because this is a TV show and let's just run with it. We finally see Helga from the ham radio, who's allegedly Rudy's ex-girlfriend. Surprise, no she's not. He lied about that. But apparently, maybe this will be important. We're getting a lot of backstory that I don't know is actually going to be relevant or not. Like Helga's, she's a locksmith. That's how she meets Dudenhoff. He reminds her of her father who had recently passed, and when he got sick, they had all come together and become like a family. And he tells him not to tell her because he doesn't want her to be hurt even more on top of like losing her father. So he has them all meet him down in the basement for his funeral. And it explicitly says, don't tell Helga. Where the hell has Helga been this whole time? I don't know. That baby pig is hers. That was in that apartment. So she had to have been there recently. She got him him back from Howard, and apparently Howard was not thrilled about it. She called him the angry man. Now, because Dudenhoff was a film professor, he filmed himself sitting in that basement leaving a message for Helga. Because as I'm listening, Vince is telling this story, and I'm like, this could be a story that they concocted, you know, to protect themselves. But there is a film of him talking to Helga, and I'm like, okay, he's leaving a goodbye message. Maybe he is doing this on his own. And these people were just honoring a dying man's last wishes. It's creepy and really sad. Would I do it? Probably not, no. I also don't think I could get away with it. Most people couldn't. Like, in reality, I don't think that anyone would ever, like, be able to get away with cashing all these checks. I mean, it happens. When the team find out everything that's happened, obviously they intend to put it in the podcast, but they can't because all of the Westies would go to jail. So Mabel makes the decision to erase everything that Eva Longoria recorded on one of her many, many products that she is pushing. And the actors come to realize that humanity means more to the team than the podcast. As it should. And maybe it's in this moment that it does. Because, like in the earlier episode when they go to that stuntman bar and the bartender says, you're using Saz's death to profit from it for your podcast. And he's not wrong. So maybe that is still something that Mabel thinks about, and that's why she did it. Also, she's kind of living in one of those apartments for dirt cheap. Oh, yeah, if they told her to pay $200 a month rent, who was getting that money? Because it wasn't Dudenhoff, and they knew it wasn't. So which one of them was going to be taking that? Would they be splitting it amongst all of them? Because that's kind of messed up, because who are they paying rent to? Nobody. That's messed up. Anyway, when the actors start talking about the plot holes, and as I've mentioned, Saz was also really kind of investigating these plot holes, because there are notes on her desk. One mentions a dog, and as I said, Oliver's dog Winnie was a victim of somebody in the building. And it's looking like that somebody is the same person that is now targeting the team. You know, because in season 1 they thought it was Sting, and it wasn't Sting, and they never figured out who did it. And we see a scene pop up of Jan receiving a note on her door that says, I'm watching you, in the same font that the I'm watching you texts were in that the team got last episode, right? Episode 6, I think it was. So like I said, if everything's going to tie in together and explain all of those plot holes, if I didn't already love this show, I would super love this show. But there is one thing that Saz also mentioned. I believe she says it to Helga, that there was a stuntman on another project she was working on that she said would be the death of her. Any guesses who that stuntman might be? I'll let you guess. You ready? It's Glenn. Shocker. It's Glenn. Glenn, who is currently unconscious or in a coma or something in the hospital after the photo shoot incident. Now, I knew he would have to have some sort of decent involvement in this season, because why would they bring Paul Rudd back to play a random character for absolutely no reason whatsoever? You know, especially since he was just on last season. So it was like, okay, the interesting choice, unless he's just doing it for fun, but like, why? So I knew something had to be up there. And we know Glenn is not necessarily 100% with it up here. You know, the way he goes around stomping on imaginary rats and everything. So maybe Saz was just saying, oh, he'll be the death of me. You know how some people just say that as like a turn of phrase or whatever. But what if she meant it? What if she felt he was an actual threat to her for whatever reason, and that's what started her investigation? Or she noticed a correlation between him and whatever is going on surrounding the Arconia? Or she was worried about Charles this whole time and started investigating all of the cases that he's covered and put two and two together. And now Glenn has shown up in their lives because Saz is gone. Now he can get close to them because Saz is gone. I guess we'll see. Because this show gets more twisty-turny every episode. And we only have 2 left. So a lot is going to have to happen in the next 2 episodes. Or there will be even more plot holes to go over by the time this entire series ends. Anyway, that's all for this week's video. Subscribe if you want to. Click the like button if you feel like it. I'll see you next week. Be excellent to each other. Bye.